Okay. Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight. A few housekeeping orders beforehand. You all have slips at your tables there. That is for any extra donating. Please put your employer on there. Unfortunately, to register anything with KREF as donations, we're supposed to take employer information. That's just legality's sake. And also, we are going to be doing auctioning later, and you can see some of the things we are going to auction later. So if you win an auction later, please write that on the slip so we know that you are the winner and we make sure that you get your prize. Let me see, is there any other housekeeping things? I don't think so. So I'm going to go ahead and just start off here for a minute. I don't usually like to come to a party and start off with something somber, but I do feel like if I didn't talk about this, nobody would. So last month, I don't know how many people around here know anyone from the Louisville party, but someone who had been around that party a bit, she passed on, and there's a lot of rumors that it might have been a suicide. And unfortunately, during these times, I've known this to be an issue a growing issue. I've known a lot of people that this has happened to. And I just want to say that our condolences as the 6th District, and I'm sure everybody else, go out to her family. And I was totally overwhelmed to see in the obituary that they said in lieu of anything that they wanted money donated to the LP. So I would like to take a moment of silence now to recognize Kathleen Renicky. So it was unfortunately a life cut too short. All right, and now we'll go on to slightly less sad things and fun topics. So tonight we have a great slate of guests for you. I've never been more excited as a district chair to be in this party. And this is really a homecoming for me. I graduated from UK in 2011. That's also where I met my wife, Sarah. I was a geography major, she was a history major. I was a history minor, she was a history major. So we've been a natural fit, and I love being in this city, and I can call anybody here and they'll do something for me, and it's just a great experience, and UK is a very great institution, and it's been a great homecoming being back here in Lexington. And it's really great that now I have a space as a chair to express my political views to the public, in a very official capacity. So without further ado, our first guest tonight is Ryan over there. He is a podcaster, but he is also working his way into becoming our Kennon County coordinator, and he has started this podcast. It's called Libertarian Candidates. Is that correct, Ryan? And he's done some great work. He's already interviewed Jo Jorgensen once, which I got to meet her at the state convention back in March, and she is a great person. And we'll probably talk about her a little more when Brett comes on. But for right now, let's bring Ryan up to here and let him talk about his spiel and his podcast. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. So, as everyone said, my name's Ryan, and one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight when I came here, I've been having conversations with candidates from around the country. I talk to people around the country that want to get involved in the Libertarian Party, that want to help grow. And one of the complaints that I get often from people who I would say are doubters of the Libertarian Party is, why do we only pop up every 4 years? Why do we only ever hear about the Libertarian Party during a presidential election? Well, there's a few things that happen that result in that. Number one, presidential elections are what determine our ballot access for our down-ticket candidates. So we have Robert Perry, Toller, and Barron here. They were able to achieve ballot access this year due to performance by Gary Johnson in 2016. So every state across the nation, the presidential race is usually the race that determines the ballot access for everyone below. If we do not support that level and achieve the required votes in each state, the candidates at all lower tickets for the 2021 election, 22, 23, and all the way up to the 24 are going to have to go through a petitioning process in every state across the country, which wastes valuable resources. Our candidates have to collect hundreds or thousands of signatures, depending on the race, whereas the Republicans and Democrats simply just get to sign their name and they're on the ballot. So, when it comes to why does the Libertarian Party put such a big focus on the presidential campaign, it's to protect the ballot access of the lower ticket campaign. So that brings up the next point. If we want to elect a presidential candidate, most people say we should be starting at the lower levels. So that means that we have to work together and we have to start building the infrastructure for candidates to actually be able to campaign. I think that helping grow local affiliates is going to be a big part of that over the next few years. And that goes for all levels. It's the district party, the state parties. We have a great structure. You can join the LP National, you can join your state party, you can then join your district party, and you can get involved at a local level. If you go talk to other candidates of other parties that may be leaning libertarian, they're probably not ready to jump ship, because if they're in the Republican or Democrat parties, they have this large county infrastructure that they can just call up and say, hey, go put out 200 signs today, and you have 30 volunteers that show up to go put them out. So we can go through the internet campaigns. We can create the memes. Memes are fun. They get shared really well on the internet. We can.
For coming out tonight, a few houses.
That one is streaming something else now, so I think that just died. Sorry about that. But in general, we have to work on growing the party at all levels. So people ask me all the time, how can you get involved in the Libertarian Party? Number one, visit your state affiliate. And this isn't just for people in this room. This is the Libertarian Party of Kentucky here. So everyone here should be involved in their state party already. The rest of us out there watching live streams, get out there, go visit your state affiliate, join your state affiliate, and get in contact with your county and district coordinators to help grow the movement. Because candidates like Brad Barron, who's raised more money than only second to the presidential candidate this year, we need that in every state. It needs to be everywhere, and we need to be able to hold more events just like this tonight with a room full of people that are here to speak about liberty and learn more about the Libertarian Party. Now we have people who have been elected holding chairs. Christian Barney and I have spent a day in my garage doing phone banking. All of those things are important. We have to make sure getting on the computers and social media and talking to people is important, but getting out on the street, waving signs, making phone calls, doing the banking is what's going to move us forward. So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. Thank you.
Give her a big round of applause for Ryan. As it's obvious, because I am a district affiliate chair, that is what my whole drive is all about. I love having these, showing off Lexington to people, to libertarians, and even I think we have an independent here in the house tonight, not to embarrass them. But that's what it's all about. I mean, it's about making politics local, and even the R's and the D's sometimes fail at that. I remember when we were in Hardin County, thanks to a donation from somebody else who's here tonight, we got a booth at the county fair, and it was us and the Republicans. The Democrats weren't even there. And that just shows, again, this lack of care about the grassroots or the people of either party. So, Ryan, keep it up, and as he said, everybody please, check out your local affiliates. Our next guest tonight, he's kind of a strange duck being here in Kentucky by way of Miami, but, he is the surrogate for the Joe Jorgensen campaign. And I guess, every campaign needs its Horatio Gates, or is it Horatio Kane from CSI Miami? Well, everybody put your hands together for Brett.
So, first I wanted to say I did move from Miami to Kentucky to get away from hurricanes, and they're still following me. But good evening. My name is
Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for
That one is
coming out
now here
tonight.
as well.
A few housekeeping orders beforehand. You all.
There we go. We're good. All right, there we go. So my name is Brett Jones, and I am the Kentucky director for the Joe Jorgensen for President campaign. I just need to mention that I am speaking as the Kentucky campaign director and not on behalf of Joe Jorgensen for president. I'm extremely honored to be here tonight and have a speaking role. But first, I do need to address the elephant in the room. I know everybody would rather hear from Jo. She's much better looking than me, but here we are. Here we are. So the best platform is one that is simple, easy to understand, and speaks to the people. The Libertarian Party has one, and it can be summed up into a single sentence. Do what you want, just don't hurt others while doing it. You fell in love with it. I fell in love with it. The majority of Americans love it, but just don't know it. And our platform is one of freedom and liberty. Jo wants to help us get there. If we want to take our freedoms and liberties back, we have to start by electing a president who has actually read the Constitution, who will respect the Constitution, and who will follow the Constitution as intended by our founding fathers. The Constitution is why our country has thrived. And when Jo is elected president, we will have our country restored. Jo will start by ending qualified immunity, ending the ATF and all gun regulations, ending the Department of Education, giving the people the choice and control over their education, ending the war on drugs and decriminalizing their use, bringing our troops home, removing barriers to a competitive healthcare market, replacing Social Security with a private option, ending the federal income tax. Taxation is theft. All of this will return the power to the people where it needs to be. The votes for Libertarian candidates have been growing exponentially over the last few cycles, which is great for the Libertarian Party of Kentucky, since we will maintain ballot access after this year.
That's right.
But now is the time to push past that. Now is the time we need bold leadership, not only in Washington, but in our state. This year is not only critical for Jo, it is critical for all of our candidates. Let's fight to retake our country. We are the power. Thank you very much.
And once again, a special thanks to Brett for coming down from Boone County, and for Christian, the District 4 Chair, for coming from Kenton County. Great to have you all out here tonight. So those are my high school stomping grounds. So, all right, our next guest, I could probably say that about the next three guests, about them not needing an introduction. But tonight, I'm really, really glad to be able to have our District Secretary here, James, who is also running for 78th House District. And what excites me so much about James is my step-grandfather was a truck driver. He drove 49 states. He did not make it to Hawaii. But the truck drivers really are, in many ways, the backbones of our society. And unfortunately, the two major parties don't seem to really care about them all that much. They never talk about them. They never talk about their issues. And that's why I'm so glad to present to you tonight James Toller for 78th House.
First off, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Good crowd with everything that's going on. But like you said, I am a truck driver, and that's really, really what got me into politics, what got me into wanting to run for a public office. And the main reason for that is because the people does not have a voice within the government any longer. We used to have it, but we don't anymore. And that's what I want to do. I want to be the voice for the people. I will not be a voice for the government. I will not work for the government. Never have, never will. I will solely work for the people of the state, and even the ones that visit the state, just to make it better for them as well. And it's bad that a government that you vote and you put your vote in for to represent you does not want to represent you. And they only want to represent the government and leave you left in the dark. We the people is the three biggest words in the Constitution for a reason. It was so that the government can fear and know that we the people have control over them, not the government have control over us. What I want to do when I get in office is I want to take every single gun law there is, and I want to rip it up and throw it out the front door of the Capitol. Gun rights and gun laws are completely different. The Constitution says that we have the right to defend ourselves against the government. And that's what the Second Amendment's for us to be armed in case we needed to fight against the government. Obviously, somebody a long time ago knew that the government was going to turn against us, and we needed a way to protect ourselves because it's in there. I also want to eliminate some taxes. We need to eliminate property tax. If we can't eliminate property tax right off the bat, Jacob, he's also running for state house. We've talked, and I took the idea from him. Why can't we, if we can't straight up eliminate property tax, why can't we at least eliminate it for the retired people of Kentucky? We can do that because once you retire, you're actually on a fixed budget. And with a fixed budget, why should you be concerned that you may lose your house to the government that you've already paid for and you've paid the loan off? Why should you have to worry about losing your property that you've worked hard for all your life to the government over a $2,000 property tax bill? We're also looking to eliminate the state income tax. Taxation, guys, I'll say it too, taxation's theft. The government does not care. The only thing they care about is money. Money, to me, is the root of all evil. And the evil right now is in Frankfurt. My opponent, he's voted 3 times over the last 2 years to raise taxes. We've got to stop that. We need to eliminate as many taxes as we can eliminate. But if we can't eliminate them, let's at least drop them. Let's make it feasible to live in Kentucky. Let's make people want to retire in Kentucky. That's how we gain from eliminating property tax. That's how we gain from eliminating income tax. Because people see that, they want to retire in Kentucky. They want to move to Kentucky. They want to work in Kentucky. So let's eliminate that and let's make it better for the people. Also, another thing, my opponent, and I don't know why, but he voted for a $35 million bailout for the University of Louisville. Why do they need a bailout? Do they not have enough kids going to school paying high tuition? How many millions of dollars a year do they make off tuition? The thing about that bailout bill is the University of Louisville never has to pay that back. So that's $35 million of taxpayer money went to the University of Louisville to bail them out. I'm all for the small business. These big businesses, I'm not saying I don't care about them, but it's your small mom and pops, local businesses that run this state. Governor Andy Beshear, he shut them down over the COVID crisis. He let Walmart, he let Kroger, he let Kohl's, he let all the big businesses stay open. And now we see the small businesses closing their doors for good because of corporate greed. So we need to stop all this. We need to stop the tyranny. We need to stop the corruption in Frankfurt, which, by the way, is the most corrupt government in this country.
Confirmed by 3 independent studies.
So, it's time to do a 360 with this government. It's time to put these people out. It's time to put the people in and solely going to concentrate on the people. And that's what I'm going to do. So I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I know you're going to enjoy Robert. I know you're going to enjoy Brad. You know, two running for Washington, D.C. Guys, I don't know that I'll ever want to do that. I've been in Washington, D.C. It's nothing that I really want to do. I've fought against those people up there. You know, I was 22 days on the South Lawn on Constitution Avenue starting on May 1st this year. And it was kind of funny that President Trump, we drowned him out on a news conference that he was having, and nobody could hear him. He couldn't even hear the questions. And he was like, "Oh, that's okay. It's truckers down there. They're here to support me." No, sorry about your luck. We wasn't there to support you. We were there to support the people all over this country and to let them know that we got to take our country back, and and that all begins right here at the state level. So I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Y'all have a great night, and be safe going home.
And for anyone on the stream who is in the state of Kentucky, or anyone here who has not heard of James, he is running in the State House 78th seat, which is the eastern side of Georgetown, Scott County, part of Georgetown that's incredibly gerrymandered, and you'll have to look on the internet to see, and Harrison, as well as Pendleton County. So anyway, yes, James is absolutely right. You know, as someone whose grandmother was a small business owner for 40 years, watching small business get adversely affected by the government, it kind of makes me sad. It almost makes me, you know, I don't know what it makes me want to cry my eyes out. You know, two small business owners. We got one here tonight who helped put this on, Andrew Cooper Ryder, and we got another one who donates their place for us to meet. I mean, this is insane. You know, small business is the backbone of America. So everybody come on out for James, and hopefully he will be at least one Libertarian representative in Frankfurt. Our next guest is, if anyone in this room is more dedicated to the party than Robert Perry, I don't know who is, because he is a lifetime member since 2000, I believe. Is that right, Robert?
It's 2012.
2012, but he is a lifetime member. And, you know, when I met...
Twice over, actually.
Twice over, man.
While we're bragging on me, why not?
And, you know, Robert, what I love about him was, so when I actually was secretary of the 2nd district before I became chair here of the 6th. And when we were out there, you know, me and a bunch of young guys came in and we were like, what can we do to help the party? And we're coming up with schemes. And Robert's first response to us all the time was, what can I do to help you? You know, and like I said before, he was the one who helped us get a booth at all these county fairs. He helped me organize stuff. He helped everybody with the state fair. And, you know, Robert is just a great guy who's very busy and somehow always finds time for liberty. And without further ado, let's bring on stage our 2nd congressional district candidate, Robert Perry.
I'm afraid I can't top my intro. And this is going to be interesting. I have cue cards and a mic. If somebody will hand me one of my yard signs, I'll juggle them. But can you hear me okay like this? Okay. I spent a lot of this year telling people why they should support my fellow candidates and libertarian ideas in general, because that's where my passion lies. But I've done so much of it that some of you may not know who I am or where I stand as a candidate. I can't fully rectify that in a short speech, but I can introduce you to some of my underlying beliefs that help me decide where to stand. I do not believe in panaceas, fix-alls, or silver bullets. I believe that each mind has its own unique strengths and weaknesses, and one mind cannot generally said to be superior to another. I believe that the world we live in is unfathomably complex. It is shaped in part by the feelings, thoughts, and actions of over 7 billion people with different beliefs and experiences, any one of whom could spark a novel idea that ripples through the population. And that is only the complexity that we humans bring into the mix. I realize that none of these are political opinions, yet they are the opinions that shape my politics. Our passion for passing knowledge and wisdom to the next generation is a great example. Typically, we call that education, but I looked up the word, and its definition doesn't quite suit the conversation. With 73 million children in this country, we know that how they learn to leverage their minds is critical to their future, which we all care deeply about. But that is where the agreement ends. We disagree on what the children need to know before they're adults. Where we happen to agree on what they need to know, we disagree on how they should learn it, or how we can know when they have learned it. We disagree on how much of the year they should spend, and also how much of the day. I hope it strikes you as foolish that we would ever aspire to agree on these things. There is no right answer. There is no panacea for how we should optimize the development of the next generation's minds. Our children are all unique. Their needs, passions, gifts, communities, homes are all unique. And we have all proven to be bad at guessing the future anyway. So we must what? We must compromise? We are talking about compromising the future, life and livelihood of people's children. Clearly, neither compromise nor the quest for the single right answer is practical. The only reasonable solution is choice. And I'm proud to be a member of the party that is a champion of school choice. Of course, our party's love for choice does occasionally bring us some disdain. Our critics accuse us of lacking empathy, when what we really lack is conceit. And our lack of conceit prevents us from trying to control how everyone should live their lives in every facet and every degree. Perhaps it is my own arrogance, but I think you will find me to be one of the least conceited people you will ever know. For example, I have strong feelings about drug abuse. But even without knowing the devastation brought by the war on drugs, I would still not advocate illegalizing them. I don't know where I may be wrong. I don't know who may actually be helped by drugs. And I don't even understand how the person who's being impacted by the drugs may value different things in their life and come to a different conclusion than me anyway. Similarly, I've advised people that I feel they're asking for too little pay. But I would never stand in the way of them accepting less. And to set a national minimum wage is beyond imagination to me. How would I know who I'm depriving from a start? And what desperate circumstance might one be in when I'm robbing them from their last option? Another timely example is that I got my first flu vaccination last year. I expected to be out shaking hands with people during my campaign, and I wanted to lessen the chance of my spreading the flu. But that was a decision I made for myself, in light of my circumstances at a particular point in time. It is simply not in me to try to force others to be vaccinated. To be clear, none of this is a lack of conviction in me. I have ironclad convictions. It's just that my conviction is that I do not know what is best for each person. Neither do you. And most especially, neither does our government. Now I want to talk to you a bit about complexity. I was really first introduced to complexity while studying physics. Not because the rules of physics are complex, but because the patterns and behaviors that emerge from them are. However, you don't need to study physics to see this. All of us participate in the economy, and each of us interacts with it. Each of our interactions with it is reasonably predictable, at least to those who know us. Yet economics is a complex and contentious subject. Finally, I would like to note that the instinct to create a little distance between ourselves and someone who is ill is common. But you might not have expected that this behavior in the middle of a pandemic would lead to shirt and blouse sales outstripping sales of pants. Yet our legislator acts as if they can change rules and have nothing complex or unexpected come of it. They are so close to the possibility of outcomes other than those they desire that they don't even spend a moment's thought on how the system may behave. We know these as unintended consequences, and they are not unique to government. Indeed, we see them in our interactions with every complex system. However, egos often deny that. But in discussing conceit, complexity, and general lack of silver bullets, in discussing how conceit, complexity, and general lack of silver bullets make authoritarian dreams impractical, I have failed to discuss what role government should play. After all, I am running for an office, and I am not running on abolishing it. My answer to this is not to use reason to somehow cut through the complexity and discover for us what will work, but rather to point to what has worked. What has worked is the idea that each person has a right to defend their life, liberty, and property. The purpose of government is for us to work together to better protect these same values. Should government compromise the life, liberty, or property of an individual for any purpose, it undermines its value and pits us against one another, degrading the society that it was formed to serve. I hope you all know me better now. I want to think that many of you could now guess where I would stand on many topics I did not discuss. If I stand near enough to where you stand, I hope you will consider helping me get word out to the voters of District 2. You can do this by volunteering your time or money at perry4ky.com/donate. And thank you for the time you've just given me these past few minutes. Still sort of torn on the juggling idea.
And he said that he couldn't top the introduction. I don't know if I can top by closing. As you can see, you know, everything that Robert Perry represents is really what we mean in libertarianism. You know, volunteerism, no coming into you telling you we have some great solution for you. You know, that is really what it's all about when it comes to its core. Now, as you know, we have one more speaker that I'm sure everybody has been dying to hear from. You know, when I first heard of Brad, I got a phone call from then D2 chair, Randall Daniel, who is now our state vice chair. And the first thing he said to me was, there's this guy out in Warren County called the Baron that wants to run for Senate. And I said to him, what's a Baron? And then I got to meet him a couple weeks later, and let me tell you, there is no man, in my opinion, that represents Kentucky more than Brad Barron. And I have met a lot of people in this state, and I continue to meet a lot more. But the one thing that I know about Brad Barron that sets him apart from his competitors, Mitchell McConnell and Amy McGrath, is that at the end of the day, Brad Barron is one of us. He's a real Kentuckian. He farms here, he lives here, he roots for UK, he comes out, his wife works for the Corvette plant in Bowling Green. I mean, this man is what it means to be Kentuckian. And the fact that Mitch McConnell is running scared to debate him tells you all that you need to know about this man's acumen. So everybody put your hands together for Brad Barron.
Any of you that know me know I don't need a microphone anywhere nearby. And actually, I normally don't even bring notes with me. As you guys know, I pretty much shoot from the hip, but there are some specific things that I want to talk about this evening that are going on with the campaign and going on with the Libertarian Party in general. Our campaign has exploded. We went up on our Facebook page over 10,000 likes in 1 week. And as my friend Larry Sharp says, he says, I love you, Brad, but this is way bigger than you. And he is absolutely right. This isn't about Brad, it's about liberty. And, you know, I want to start off with something that's interesting is what I'm getting now is the, well, Brad, we love you, but a vote for you is a vote for Mitch McConnell.
I thought it was McGrath.
Now hold on, Rob. Then move to the second comment. A vote for you is a vote for Amy McGrath. That's how we know we're in this thing. Those of you that were at the convention, you remember what I said. When they start saying that, when the attacks start, is when you know you're in it. If they're ignoring you, which they tried to do. Earlier in the year, I was referred to as other candidate.
Still got 9% in that poll.
Yeah, as other candidate. Last week, our campaign was mentioned in the Washington Post, the New York Times, and several other major publications. WDRB put a picture of me and Amy McGrath that said, we invited some other guy, but maybe he's not going to show up. One thing that really bothers me when you talk with people about McConnell is they really feel like he's a fighter for liberty more so than the Democrats. You hear it all the time. Well, at least he's not a Democrat. I beg to differ. Here's a guy that loves the Patriot Act. Loves it. Rand Paul lives in my county. He and I discussed this. He brings in an amendment to the Patriot Act. He says, you know, I want to do this amendment. I say repeal and replace, except I'm going to lie to you. I'm not going to replace it. Yeah, and to me, there's never been a more piece of anti-liberty legislation than the Patriot Act. And I don't know that we even get mad enough about what the Patriot Act is. You know, it kind of gets pushed to the side sometimes with all the other stuff going on. But this is, I call it their peeping Tom policy. I joke with Spike Cohen all the time, and I say, Mitch likes to be able to watch your wife when she gets out of the shower, Spike. You guys get up there, you're going to have to do something about this. And, you know, so it really irks me that people think that McConnell is any more liberty-oriented than a Democrat. I'm still waiting, and when I give them a response, they often just disappear from the page or say something that I'm probably not going to repeat here. Yeah, and then I just hit the delete button with them on Facebook. But yeah, but talking about also the raising of the $100,000 to get on the debate stage. We have to do more of this everywhere in the Libertarian Party. That $100,000 is the biggest $100,000 bang for your buck money that's ever been raised in any political campaign, as far as I'm concerned. The doors that it's opened in other areas. I mean, we literally have right now a candidate that the mainstream media would have ignored as long as they could, that's now being mentioned in the articles with Amy McGrath and Mitch McConnell. And we need the same thing at the presidential level as well. But you, it cracks me up thinking about Mark Whitney, you know, keep banging. You know, people made fun of him about it, but there's truth in it. That's what you got to do. You got to, I said in the speech with Jorgensen, you know, it wasn't that long ago we didn't have ballot access. Then they said, there's no way you can raise $100,000 to get on the debates. We did. And then they said, well, Mitch isn't going to debate you anyways. He'll find a way to weasel his way out of it. He might. But Amy McGrath and I are going to debate nonetheless. And that's the way it's going to be. If he declines, she's still going to debate. And so, I mean, these are just wonderful things going on. And hopefully it catches hold. I know, wasn't Joe down at Ricky Dale Harrington's that's taking on Tom Cotton just yesterday? And Nick Sarwar texted me something about it. He was in the air. And, you know, there's another race, two-way race. You know, so we've got some things going on that if, you know, things can, if we can catch some luck and some volunteers as well, things can happen. You guys talking about the Constitution is an interesting thing. That what makes our Constitution unique is that it tells government what they can't do, not us. And people need to remember that. We have somewhat of a tyrant right here in this state, the governor's mansion. If you would have told me that we would have a governor that comes on, as Chris Weiss calls it, his propaganda hour. I mean, truth is stranger than fiction here. And one of the things you and I talked about on the discussion we had on your podcast is we're not necessarily against wearing masks, we're against government-mandated mask wearing. And that brings me to something else. Watching what McConnell's doing at the federal level and what Beshear's doing at the state level has agreeable symmetry. Choking out small businesses. I was watching Mitch, with this latest buyout, or not buyout, but latest stimulus package that he's wanting to pass. Got to have the protections in there for big businesses. That's what he's saying. I got to have it. Well, another way to choke out the small guy. Are these protections? I don't hear him saying, he's saying business protections. I've been reading through it, but I've yet to see where he's mentioning, down here at the small business level, more of the big corporations. And to me, crony capitalism is the most morally bankrupt thing that exists. They're literally picking winners and losers and using government force and coercion to do it. There's no other way to write it down. That's the way it is. And so that's something that I'm most definitely going to be bringing up to Mitch if he brings himself to the debate stage. And I like to tell people, you look at this situation here with the donations. Look at it as an investment in liberty. The money that I can do with a $100 donation versus where it goes when it goes to R's or D's is ridiculous. I don't have this high overhead. I was looking at a campaign one time that the amount of money they spent in consultants was over $1 million in a campaign, that was a $5.5 million campaign. So this money, when it comes to me, I'm using it to build things with liberty, whether it's buying yard signs, whether it's getting boosts for my Facebook page to get out there and reach people. Have you done that with your videos that you do? Which boosted them, the ones on Facebook? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That is probably the best I've gotten to reaching a large audience is Facebook boosts and Facebook paid ads. Yeah.
Heck, Brad, I boosted the video I did with you.
Oh, did you? Yeah. So let me scan through here and see if I've missed anything. But really, what it comes down to when I get on the debate stage is I'm going to make a simple pitch at the end to people. You think you have 3 people running here. You have 2 options. You have the establishment and you have Brad Barron. Doesn't matter if you take McGrath or McConnell, they're opposite sides of the same fiscally irresponsible coin. I joke and say, they're getting so close that the names are almost the same now. An interesting thing that I've dealt with that probably a lot of you know is Farm Bureau denied allowing me to speak in their candidates forum. And I think at the end of the day, as this thing really heats up here, and it's heating up, this race, McGrath has raised over $50 million. I'm sure McConnell's not far behind. I was tipped off that if they are within 2 points of one another going down the stretch, that they're willing to dump over $1 billion of dark money into Kentucky. $1 billion in a race. And this isn't a presidential race. So that goes to show you that both sides want their person in that position, a majority leader. And often, the executive branch, your president gets the fame and the blame. Same way with the governor. And, one of these things with Andy Beshear, Jacob and I talk about this. Where's the legislative branch? Where are they? They can, excuse me, that's something that they love, the Mitch McConnells and the Nancy Pelosi's. I call them Mitch Pelosi. Once again, opposite sides of the same coin. Is they let the heat fall on the executive branch of government. So therefore, they can kind of just sit back, slip through, sneak their things, bundle these big packages together. Instead of doing these separately, bundle them all together. Well, I didn't really want to vote for this. Mitch uses it with Planned Parenthood. attacks the Democrats as being baby killers, and stops Rand's amendment to block the funding of Planned Parenthood, but yet runs all these ads. And it's not about whether you're pro-life or pro-choice. It's about the hypocrisy that goes on with these people. And we're the thing they didn't bank on in this race. They never thought in a million years they were going to have a Libertarian candidate, raise the money, that we were all going to band together, get me on the debate stage. And when I say me, I mean us.
Right.
Absolutely. This took, I mean, Rob Perry's show, those of you that watched it, was one of the most interesting things. You know, they were joking around with me and said, Brad, you've done something I've never seen done. You've got the Mises Caucus, you've got the Radical Caucus, you've got them all here united under one banner for a common goal. And I really think this McConnell race, Amy McGrath, is going to put us on the national stage, and hopefully that'll help get Joe, on the debates as well. I did hear yesterday that Joe Biden's camp's just saying they're probably not going to debate, so maybe that, they said he's getting COVID, and afraid of getting COVID and losing his sense of smell. So
What a tragedy.
yeah, what a tragedy. But I want to thank you guys again for coming out. Thanks everybody for what they've done and what you're going to do for me on out. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks to you guys for putting on this dinner. Hope you enjoyed the evening.
Before I close up here and take a 10-minute break and we start our auction, I just wanted to recognize all the people who helped put this on tonight. I want to recognize Brian for his live stream, everybody. He also spoke. I want to recognize the other Ryan for our district page and all of his work, Ryan Patrick. He's our new vice chair here in D6. And I want to thank Andrew and Kara Cooper Ryder for everything they do. And I can't tell you how grateful I am to have competent people in the Treasury. And of course, again, thanks to all the district chairs for showing that showed tonight. And, thanks for everybody who's given to LPKY over the years and everyone who's donated to Brad's campaign. Like I said, we're now coming probably up to the home stretch. And we have done, like he said up here, we have done so many things that nobody ever expected. And I think we will keep doing more. We have a group of people here tonight that are dedicated to bringing people a legitimate third option on the ballot in November. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. And this has been Charles Eldendorf, your district chair, D6.
Thanks, Charles.
And in 10 minutes, we'll start the auction.